Street Profits retained their tag titles against Angel Garza and Austin Theory. We knew that was going to happen. But Bianca Belair comes to the aid of her husband and attacks Zelina Vega. So Bianca Belair, it's funny, everyone's like, oh, she finally got called to the main roster. But just a few weeks ago, everyone's saying that NXT is part of the main roster. So who the heck knows? We'll see where that follows. We saw this rematch again on Raw, and then they had a 3-on-3 match, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then the next match was the 5-way elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And that was just about a 20-minute match. Tamina eliminated first, Naomi eliminated next. Then the shock was Sasha got eliminated, and then Bayley defeated Lacey by pinfall there. I'm okay with Sasha not winning this. If it's definitely going to lead to Sasha versus Bayley in a one-on-one match in front of fans where Sasha is the face and wins. If it's not going to lead to that, then it was the right time to either have Sasha win or put Lacey Evans over, and then they could tease the scent between Sasha and Bayley, and that's how Lacey won. But Bayley wins the match. Overall, good match. What are your thoughts on this whole storyline, Joe?
I agree entirely with what you just said. And this goes back to something we talked about on the previous podcast, is that Sasha and Bayley did not want the one-on-one match at WrestleMania because they felt like they weren't going to get proper timing. Now, with the way this ended up working out with no fans and the recording at the Performance Center, maybe they would have been better served to have the one-on-one match there. You know, you never know. But in terms of actually wrestling, it was a good match. All the women's matches delivered this weekend. All of them were good. Sasha being eliminated definitely was shocking to me because I thought she would win, and I was kind of upset a little bit because I do want her to get the title back. But I agree with you. They're clearly setting up having a Sasha versus Bayley one-on-one match at some point. Could be at SummerSlam in
Boston. It's boss time.
It's boss time.
I think if they do that one-on-one match at SummerSlam, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there's going to be fans at that point, but if there is, that should definitely, with or without fans, I think that should be your SummerSlam main event. Just because of the history that these two have in August facing each other, just incredible matches.
And then they're talented enough in the ring that they can deliver in that spot.
Absolutely. And the next thing we have here is the Firefly Funhouse segment. So people are saying The Fiend won. You know what? There was no ref, so we don't even know if it was a match. It seems to be like a dream or an illusion or whatever, but pretty trippy stuff there. I know you absolutely love that.
I did.
So really what do you think? I mean, I don't want to really talk about the segment too much. I just want to know what you think is next for both men. So with John Cena, obviously everybody knows he is now a big Hollywood movie star. He is in commercials. He hosts his own television shows. We are at the point where we've been at this point now for a couple of years, but now it's really ringing home that John Cena, he's not coming home anymore. You know what I mean? He's beholden to Hollywood. So I think this was, in a way to send off Cena, but at the same time kind of preserve the character who everybody knows and loves. And I think that they did a very, very good job of that. And so a lot of what the internet has always wanted was John Cena to turn heel. So I think the nicest and the coolest thing that they did with this segment was that they told a pretty linear story. They told a story from Cena's beginning up until the point where had he would have hit Bray Wyatt with the chair in their first match at WrestleMania 30, that would have turned him heel. So there were a lot of different layers to this, but basically it told a sequential story of John Cena's career and how it would have been had he turned heel. So I think it wasn't so much a wrestling match, that it was a mental match. And again, I just think what they did was so cool for both guys. It really, really put over Bray Wyatt in a huge way, in a way that a 1, 2, 3 like win in the ring would have never been able to do. And the fact that John Cena did it, had creative input, and made the decision to include everything that he did on his own, was absolutely fabulous. I think both guys hit a home run, and I think it was one of the greatest things that WWE has ever produced.
So do we see another John Cena match, a real match ever again?
Yes, I think so. But I think the interesting thing is you don't know if he's going to come back as the old Cena. Now, if he does, then it's going to be business as usual, whatever. But if you see a different John Cena, that would be the direct result of this, which again would be cool. So who knows at this point? But
Cena should come back and help The Miz and Elias. I don't know what regard, but those are the two guys who should be helping.
Make their stream stable.
I mean, but if you look at his WrestleMania history, like other than Randy Orton, most of his feuds have been with The Miz or Elias. So,
right.
There's history there. And maybe he pulls The Rock. He just randomly came back for a Rock and Sock connection at MSG to take on Evolution, just like so random.
How would you feel next year at WrestleMania in Hollywood? You get Hollywood John Cena, and you get either The Miz or Elias as his opponent in a big match where
WWE
he
title match?
Yeah.
Because I think we need to have John Cena go for number 17. Whether he wins or not, that's a storyline right there, don't you think?
I agree. I totally agree. The question about that is, do you have Cena win 17 at WrestleMania, or do you have him win 17 at a show like the Royal Rumble and then go into WrestleMania as the defending champion? You know what I mean? That's.
You think they're going to make him win 17? Win number 17?
It depends, because you would need such a big heel to do that.
I think he'd have to win the Royal Rumble. It has to be at WrestleMania, I think, for it to work.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Who would be? I don't know. There's no huge heel, I mean,
right?
It's just, I don't know. But I don't know what Hollywood John Cena would be. I don't know what that character would be.
I don't know either. It would have to be different from Hogan and The Rock, though, a little bit. He would have to put his own spin on it.
Now, before we get to the next match, there's a reason why this podcast is called You Know I'm Right. I predicted that Gronk would be the 24/7 champ, and he still is. And he's going to hold that belt till at least SummerSlam, and when they're supposed to be in Boston. But what did you think of Gronk hosting, along with Mojo Rawley and Titus O'Neil?
All those segments were fun. I think the best one was when R-Truth was there with Mojo and Gronk and was like, "I'm the champion, hide me," and they were like, "Nope," and they went right after him. They were fun. They were entertaining. I like Gronk.
Gronk would have got a huge pop winning the 24/7 title in front of all the fans. But,
absolutely.
And the other rumor the other thing I saw was Tyson Fury came out and said, "I was supposed to wrestle at WrestleMania," which we kind of knew that, but obviously couldn't because of coronavirus. So I wonder who he would have been taking on. I guess he would have been teaming with Braun Strowman in some capacity to take on Corbin or somebody else, maybe Bobby Roode or something.
Yeah, I agree with that. It would have probably been a tag team with Braun because they buried the hatchet. Remember, with the handshake.
And then the final two matches of the night, we have first the title match, which was super short and didn't really tell any story, which was Drew McIntyre beating Brock Lesnar, and then right after that, he decided to go to the back, and then for some reason, he's like, let me go back to the ring where nobody is to an interview. He could just do it in the back, and then he takes on the Big Show and beats him in a much better match. I was actually hoping the Big Show was going to win, because that would have been hysterical. But for the first time in WrestleMania history, we have two guys who both won two matches in one night, with Owens and McIntyre. So, what'd you think of the Lesnar and McIntyre in the main event, and what'd you think of the dark match between Big Show and Drew McIntyre?
So, I'm happy that McIntyre won the title. I'm disappointed that the match was the way it was, because it seemed like Brock just wanted to go in, do all the big stuff, not really have to break a sweat for longer than 5 minutes or so, and get out. So the match was a big-time disappointment. The dark match against the Big Show was actually a much better match. Much better.
Is that Big Show's last WrestleMania match?
I would think so.
I think Big Show, his last match, in his career is going to be like him and Kane taking on two young guys and just beating them together. And that's going to be like him and Kane's last match.
That's funny. To be honest, I mean, you couldn't have a better way to leave the wrestling industry than losing a world championship match at WrestleMania. You know, it's the very first WrestleMania that ever had a dark match.
Main event.
That's a first.
It's the main event.
It's weird. It's so weird. But
like, why couldn't they just do that segment on Raw and say it was on Raw? Like, why? And it was all taped anyway. Raw was taped as well. Why did they decide to say, "Oh, well, it's WrestleMania"?
Well, I think they want because you know how WWE is weird with like stats and stuff, like the way they present stuff. I think they wanted McIntyre to get credit for 2 wins at WrestleMania. That's why. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think it would have just been better having it as like the final Raw segment where like McIntyre comes out and he says, "Thank you guys, I appreciate it." Obviously, you don't have the post WrestleMania Raw crowd where everybody's always chanted, "Oh, you deserve it" or something. But McIntyre would have been much better just coming out saying thank you. Big Show interrupts and says, "Hey, listen, blah blah blah." Asks for a title match. Gets McIntyre to put the title on the line. That would have been way better. You know, they didn't need to have to do it as like a post WrestleMania like dark match thing. I thought that was silly, but whatever. The actual match against Big Show was good, so no complaints.
All right, so that's WrestleMania weekend, and we've been told that SmackDown and Raw next are going to be filmed live, so they will actually be live shows from the Performance Center. So we'll see what happens after that. Now, the other huge news from the week is that MLB is planning to begin their season, or maybe actually have most of their season, 4.5 months perhaps, of games just in Arizona. It's going to be scorching hot out there when they're not playing the Chase Field game. It's going to be 110 degrees. And you have to factor in that I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of games played during the day because the East Coast teams are going to have to play 4 o'clock games so that their home market's over here. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, and it's just going to be really, really interesting. But, I think most people just want to see sports at this point, and we'll take what we can get, especially from MLB. Especially if MLB is coming back to start the season before NBA or NHL are going to resume theirs. So what was your initial thoughts when you heard this news?
I'm happy. Again, like everything going on right now, the first thing would have to be just compromise. And I think given the circumstances, there was clearly some thought put into this, and I think there's a lot of compromising here. And you're 100% right, especially in regard to the teams that play on the East Coast. The timing of these games will have to be structured in a way that best suits all the teams as a whole.
Right,
but
especially when they're saying there's going to be 2 or 3 games per day at a field. So
right.
it's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, and they have to make sure that everything is disinfected and all the locker rooms and stuff, like everybody gets in, gets out properly. There's a proper transitioning in place between each team and then the next team that plays the next game and then the next teams that play the next game. So we'll see how that works. But again, I'm with you. I think baseball is better than no baseball, and I don't mind watching a month or 2 of baseball with the teams just playing into empty stadiums if that signals that we're going to start to slowly get everything back to normal.
Absolutely, and we'll have to just monitor that and see how stats are looked back upon for the season. And because I think if you're playing in Arizona outside, like a dry heat, that might benefit the hitters. But we'll have to just wait and see on that. And do the Diamondbacks get to play all their home games at their stadium, or are they purposely moving them around so nobody has a competitive advantage? A lot of things to figure out there. And so obviously we're going to get a brand new schedule for the season. So you're probably not going to see interleague play. You're probably just going to see mostly division games for the most part. But we'll have to just really wait and see on that. The other big news was Mike Francesa started answering fans' Twitter questions. What did you think of that? I thought he was like hacked at first. I was totally shocked.
It took him long enough.